City authorities have organized at least 3 acres of land in Kalere to host the new hawkers place.
Keno ya government balina otutegekera kubanga naffe tutubadde tutumanyi tubayinza okufuna okukolera ki okukolera.
Tubasanyufu nnyo olw'akatale kano government keetusuubizza okukola ki otukolera naffe tufuneko effo byetukola ki byetukoleramu.
Smart 24 visited Wandegea Market, which earlier proposed to host the hawkers.
Bebo badde mbakubira omulanga n'oba n'abeera ku nguudo enkya ne bakutwala eruzira ne bakutwala wa tuyingira akatale tukaaba ennaku emu sanga munnange gavumenti yanaatuwulira naye tuyambira ffena muki mu butale.
Government help us and allow us hawkers to work. You know, when we go to town, there are those people in those arcades. They don't have time to go to the market. And sometimes when they go to the market, they get disappointed. Sometimes like fish, you know, fish is a very funny thing. When you go to the market, sometimes they give them rotten fish. When they eat, some of them, they have even lost interest in eating fish because when they go to the market, they give them rotten fish. When they reach home, they find when the fish is rotten. But now when we started and we could enter in those arcades and we give them fresh fish, they now have that appetite for fish. They have it.
Lubega Richard, the chairman Federation of Kampala Hawkers and Vendors Association, says despite KCCA efforts to gazette a suitable place of operation for the vendors, their operation in the tax park are also essential.
Bagamba nti paaka ezo tugenda abatembeeyi oba baagala oba tebaagala batembeeyi bagenda kutukolera mu paaka empya n'enkadde n'endala zonna. Ekyo kyo tuli ku lutalo okuzza batembeeyi mu paaka oba tutya oba ne mwana ba minisita nga yaganye oba ani tugenda bazzaamu.
The executive director of Kampala Capital City Authority, Dorothy Chisaka, says the UNDP funding will help them improve the market.
They wanted to see firsthand what's going on in Owino market. Where can we help KCCA to develop it better? They wanted to see how the women work, what are their needs, and they've also heard and they saw on the social media that the market has gone back to the people. So they want to come in and we work together to develop not only this market, but the markets around the city. That's why we've come. We've had a conversation with the leaders here and there are various opportunities that they want to be part of.
The UNDP will select 30 women from different markets and sponsor them for tours to other markets in Africa in a bid to help them exchange knowledge and for the improvement of their businesses.
To support you, and we will do a number of things for the Wananchis, for the real people. We will touch the women and the youth and the men who are here in Owino. We have agreed on a couple of things. First of all, to help light Owino, because the President, Susan, talked about the fact that this is a very important. We also want to help with some of the pavements and also the stalls. But importantly, we want to connect Owino to other African countries as well. We must not only sell here in Uganda, but can we connect the market women in Accra, Makola, woman to woman, youth to youth, to be able to sell.
This comes days after President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tibuhaburwa vouched for the ownership of the market to remain public.
We thank His Excellency, who elected to cancel the lease of Owino, because it was a great thing. It was a great pressure for vendors, because the lease was owned by few people, but now it has gone back to KCCA. We have hope that our market will be secured.
President Museveni, in a July 4th letter to the Minister of Lands, Judith Nabakoba, ordered for cancellation of the land title of Owino Market in Kampala Central Division, arguing that market land is communal and cannot be claimed by individuals. Museveni ordered Kampala City Land Board to cancel the land titles earlier issued to private developers to own the market.
Current and prospective clients in Eastern Uganda look forward to receiving better services in the major network expansion and improvement initiative. Although there will be inconveniences during this implementation of the project, Umeme is optimistic that the services would improve once the works are done.
So we are launching a program which is worth around $3 million, which will cover refurbishment of a number of feeder lines which are not performing well and with reliability issues. There are mainly 6 lanes we shall be refurbishing under this program. The first one is Mbale, Bubulo, right? Second one is Bubulo, Bududa, Ikiki, Kibuku, Tororo, Busia, then Nagongera, Butaleja. We shall be covering Bulangira, Palisa, and among others. In this program, in these areas, we'll be replacing poles, some with the concrete poles, expanding the size of the conductor, installing auto switches such that if there are faults coming from specific areas, they can be isolated without affecting broadly the customers, and more important, also strengthening supplies to the hospitals that are along those lines. We believe with this last phase of investment, this Elgon-Tororo belt will be receiving more stable, reliable supply for the benefit of the consumers.
Some of the services being undertaken include revamping old power lines to stabilize the electricity supply.
Is a section of one of the projects that we're doing on the Iganga-Chibimba line that is in a bit of disarray, that is going to undergo extensive rehabilitation as part of a 12 billion shilling rehabilitation program in the east. As you can see, some of the network have been reclaimed by the lake. The residents here have not had power for over 2 years, and so there was a need to intervene, and the government has allowed us to execute these projects using funding sourced directly by Umeme. This area here, Waka Waka, has required a full redesign of the line that's going to supply the neighborhood. In the same neighborhood, we have a factory there, and our community. We have been privileged to have the support of the community to keep some of the critical hardware, but the line is going to be rebuilt totally.
The managing director says this exercise requires them to switch off the live wires.
We require switching off the lines to enable the work. We appeal to the communities and our consumers to be patient with us over the next 3 months up to September, October, where the works will be completed, to ensure that we can switch off the lines, refurbish them. The ultimate benefit after the refurbishments will be much more reliable supply to their benefit. So we appeal for their cooperation, we appeal for their support, we appeal that they bear with us during this period jointly so that we can refurbish these lines for a better supply.
The company has rationalized billing and commercial processes through rollout of technological solutions, leading to a sustained collection rate of 99.8% of bid revenues.
This will bridge the financing gap to catalyze economic recovery. The Uganda's National Development Plan 3 highlights, among others, manufacturing and tourism as the key primary growth sectors that have developed multiplier effects. This requires critical focus. The manufacturing sector accounted for 14.1% of the total bank lending in 2007 and dropped to 13.1% of the total bank lending by the end of September 2021. Uganda Bankers Association attributes this to high interest rates both in the 3 sectors, hence forcing most of the business players out.
3 sectors are key, critical in the economy, like he said, because of their multiplier effects across manufacturing, tourism, and agribusiness. But like she asked, first of all, interest rates have been high and not competitive, and in your own analysis, the trend has been dropping in terms of portfolio exposure to the manufacturing sector. In the past, if you looked at all the sectors, there has been a corresponding increase in financing trade compared to manufacturing. However, the COVID pandemic brought out certain things. Because we are heavily reliant on importation, when the supply chains were blocked and we couldn't trade as much, it became clear that we need to rely on domestic manufacturing to drive growth.
According to the data from the Uganda Bank Association, direct loan manufacturing exposure to financial institutions regulated by the Bank of Uganda currently stands at 2.4 trillion, or 3.1% of the total loan exposure. During the annual bankers conference, the Deputy Governor Bank of Uganda, Michael Ating Ego, says that they will consider how banking sector can stimulate productivity growth to boost overall growth.
Today and tomorrow's conference sessions will consider how bank financing can stimulate productivity growth and high-value exports to boost overall growth and forex inflows. We also urge the banking sector to finance enterprises and activities that preserve and protect the environment so as to manage the associated climate risk.
Beyond the thinking of the past, how do we support these sectors? How do we make pricing, address the issue of pricing? And you had our chair today in our opening remarks speak about the 1 trillion shillings export facility, that the regional export facility we are working on. And the whole idea is to bring other players together with the banks so that we form a consortium. And what that does, it addresses risk, it brings in people with cheaper sources of funding, and we put them together in a pool. That way, the lending rate for that facility will be much lower. The terms and conditions will be structured and customized to support manufacturers' export. That's the whole objective. So hear me clearly. The pricing that you talked about will be much more competitive. It will be a structured trade facility to enable our manufacturers then export.
The hospitality and tourism sector is a major source of employment, revenue and foreign exchange earnings. The sector accounts for 7.8% of the GDP and 6.7% of the total employment, creating close to 700,000 jobs.
This did not only affect the revenue of their company, but also their personal incomes as well, something they are struggling to recover from, as Peace Nasike, a salesperson from TIO Tours and Travels, explains.
It was performing well, but when the pandemic hit, we were most affected. Somehow it's like we're out of business. There was nothing coming in. Yes. So whoever survived by the grace of God. So since it was opened up, and we are doing our best to get back on. We are trying to bring in new products to supplement what we already had, so that we can be able to, to meet our operational costs as well.
Sector players are resorting to online marketing to reduce the costs and remain afloat.
We do have a new product on the market. We have a market space or a marketplace in form of this app on my t-shirt. This is the TIO app. On this app, you can book a hotel, you can rent a car, okay? We are also working on putting flights on it. So at your fingertips, you can book a hotel right at your fingertips, yes. You just download it from Play Store. Right now it's not yet on Apple Store, but on Android, you get it from Play Store. So when you have downloaded it, you can access as an everyday person, you can access these services.
Huge challenges remain in promoting local tourism, as the numbers are reportedly low given the hard economic situation here.
Embracing this so much, but we want them to embrace it. Yes, we want them to embrace it, including because we have local tours, we do have international tours, okay? Because you are in your own country and you don't even know how Queen Elizabeth looks like. That's not fair. And yet someone flies all the way to come and see it.
Arts and crafts, made in unique shapes and objects that make the African race stand out, has been cited as one of the most attractive things for tourists here. Mirembe Ann, a dealer in crafts at Insambia Crafts Market, spoke to Smart 24 TV on a wide range of materials that many tourists buy from them.
I have gifts, things that you can offer to your loved ones. Now, for example, we have this kind of gifts. These are the kind of things you can offer to someone and someone will appreciate. Now, this one is 40,000 because it maintains a lot. It has wood, it has wood, it has ivory, it has a lot of things combined with it. It looks small, but it's something. One good thing about these things, they last for long. You can keep it for as long as you want. Now this one is 40,000 because it maintains a lot. It has wood. It has wood. It has ivory.
All right, now that report is a continuation with the other issue of the Bankers Association in regards to bridging the financing gaps. Well, financial institutions have apparently pledged to finance and give support towards unlocking the potential of Uganda's manufacturing, agribusiness, and Uganda's tourism. Now, this issue of the tourism operators, tours and travels is simply because most probably those from the sector are still facing a very huge challenge, I should say, in recovery. They're looking for various ways under which they can do business, looking for various ways under which they can push for development to prevail, and also they're looking for various ways to see things becoming easier for them. So that is exactly what normally comes up and what happens in terms of recovering and all that. And in a brief of looking at the other issue about Wumeme says it's this particular project of ensuring rural electrification in most of the areas have actually been successful in most of the areas. And this time around, when it comes to Jinja, to Kamuli, as well as Iganga and Busitema, stretching all the way to eastern Uganda, what Wumeme entails to find or entails to succeed at with the 11 ensure that for the viewers, to ensure that for the users or the people from the rural areas get to benefit from the rural electrification program and as well get access to electricity. That has been a very huge concern from Wumeme as well as the other sector players from that sector of energy and power distribution in the country. Then on the other hand, on the issue of the hawkers and vendors, leaders on the side of the hawkers and vendors are saying they are getting back to the taxi parks. This is following up the KCCA officials who are actually in the old tax park that has just been refurbished a year back, actually saying they will not be accepting these particular hawkers and vendors to return to working in this park. But however, the hawkers said they will be finding their way back in there to continue doing business from that particular perspective. Now also commodity prices should say are also becoming bigger. Now on the other issue regarding the news recap of what we've been having this morning was the issue of the ownership of the Owino market, as the Kampala City Council Authority now plans to the city's largest market through the United Nations Development Program, and they're going to roll out a project meant to improve the security of persons and property. And this is as well going to be very helpful, as they're also planning to ensure that it becomes of huge importance and to link St. Bali Kudeme market to the other markets on the East African Community Bloc and on the African continent. All right, that is it for the news breakup this morning. After the break, we're getting back with the SMB International Lab that's looking at stories making headlines away from Uganda in regards to business. Good morning, good people. This is Smart Means Business.